a lot of responses from viewers about dealing with disappointment after trying to reason with current Jehovah's Witnesses.
Many ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, myself included, once finding out the truth about the organization, have been sorely disappointed when trying to help other current Jehovah's Witnesses to reach what we believe to be a logical conclusion. Despite the multitude of facts that you may give them that would seem to lead them to an overwhelmingly obvious conclusion, they are often unable to have an unbiased point of view.
Many times, they close their ears before hearing any information you may have and cut off all communication with you regardless of the relationship.
Honestly, it can feel like you're just banging your head against a wall or talking to one.
In this video, we're going to focus on 5 ways that, based on our own experience, we feel can help reduce this disappointment.
Number 1. Questions over answers. When Shannon and I first left the organization, we had an abundance of newfound information and wanted to tell everyone we knew about it. After having given many years to the organization that we couldn't get back, we wanted to share the information with every Jehovah's Witness we knew in order to keep them from wasting their time as well.
The problem is, when you use this approach with something that people hold close to their heart, their natural inclination is to defend it. The organization in the mind of a Jehovah's Witness is the most important thing in their life.
So what usually happens when someone tells you the harsh truth about someone or something that you love, especially when the information that they are providing you sounds completely out of character in your mind?
What happens is that your focus shifts from the information itself to the person sharing it. So how do you counter that?
One way is by formulating your statements in the form of a question. People are naturally inclined to feel the need to respond to questions more so than statements. For example, instead of making the statement, Watchtower was partnered with the United Nations from 1992 to 2001, perhaps you could ask, can you help me understand why Watchtower partnered with the United Nations from 1992 to 2001 when the Revelation book stated that the United Nations would turn against Jehovah's Witnesses and bring about the Great Tribulation? By asking a question, it naturally prompts a response from whoever is being asked that question.
Also, Jehovah's Witnesses pride themselves on being teachers. When you genuinely ask a question, they want to provide an answer for you because it makes them feel as if they are teaching you something.
Additionally, since they have such confidence in their belief, they will feel more obligated to provide a valid answer.
You want the person you're speaking to feel as if you need their help in finding your answer.
That takes away the threatening feeling that they may have that you're trying to disprove their belief. And this approach shifts the focus from you to the information itself. And that's what matters most at the end of the day.
Lately, it seems that the leaders of the organization have put a premium on avoiding anyone who shares facts that don't put them in a positive light.
It appears that the leaders of the organization are aware that this reasonable and fair approach is working and really reaching the hearts of Jehovah's Witnesses, and as a result, they're attempting to warn them about it by speaking negatively of it.
In a recent talk, the speaker in essence criticized the fact that apostates use the approach of being willing to listen to Jehovah's Witnesses, but only if Jehovah's Witnesses listen to them as well, which is reasonable, right?
That brings us to illustration time. Let's say someone was wrongfully charged with murder. The prosecuting attorney uses information that works against the defendant to state his or her case. But when it comes time for the defendant's attorney to state their case, all of their information is thrown out because the prosecuting attorney has convinced the judge that the defense attorney's evidence is invalid without any proof of it being so. The judge then throws out the evidence without even looking over it to determine its validity. And as a result, the jury is never exposed to the other side of the argument and has to base their verdict on the prosecuting attorney's information only. Now, if this were a news story and the defendant went to prison, wouldn't you think that there was some foul play between the judge and the prosecuting attorney? No doubt you conclude that the trial was unjust. What if you were the defendant? How would you feel? Wouldn't you feel cheated, as if your life has been decided by those who withheld information? Well, guess what? Jehovah's Witnesses, you're being cheated. You're only being presented with one side of the argument, and you're being told that particular side is true. You're also told not to look at the other side. And as a result, you're being mentally imprisoned.
The leaders of this organization are afraid of what they call apostates, the same way that a lie is afraid of the truth. The truth always prevails. You never see an apostate afraid to engage in conversation with a Jehovah's Witness because apostates have nothing to be afraid of when it comes to truthful information. They've done their research in full, not just one side, and they can back it up.
The leaders of the organization know this, and this is why they go against what the Bible says to keep searching for truth as for hidden treasure.
If they had the truth, they wouldn't discourage you from proving it to yourself, because it would be obvious. The only way to prove the truth to yourself is to know what the lie is for yourself.
But if you only have one point of view, how do you know it's the truth? And how do you know what you think is the truth isn't the lie? If you think the illustration with the judge and the prosecutor withholding information from the jury is unfair, you get the point.
Point number 2. Temper your expectations. Don't expect any Jehovah's Witness you speak with to initially respond favorably. For XJWs who've been away from the indoctrination for any extended period of time, we naturally have a different mindset when it comes to the intake of information from outside sources.
We've also had time to adjust to this new mindset, and with this time, we've allowed reality to set in for us regarding the organization as well.
So we may naturally expect when speaking to Jehovah's Witness friends or family that they'll come to the same conclusion we did right away. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way.
If you go in with that mindset, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. The best mindset to go in with, in our opinion, is to help them to be as objective as possible and go from there.
Without objectivity, it can be a very difficult thing to make what seems to be a logical decision.
Number 3, put yourselves in their shoes. Even if a current Jehovah's Witness comes to the realization that the organization is not what they originally thought, there's often a big gap between knowledge and action. As discussed in previous videos, most current Jehovah's Witnesses were victims of what we call traptism, where they were coerced into baptism without full knowledge of the organization's hidden practices, procedures, and history.
Everything in their life has been built around and is directly tied to this organization, including their relationships and sometimes even their employment. So you have to put yourself in that person's position and consider all of the factors that come with making such a drastic life change.
Their religious belief, friends and family, support system, financial situation, reputation, and many other things would change if they were to act on this newfound information. And if an individual has a position of power, it becomes even more difficult for them.
This type of change can have serious mental and emotional effects.
That leads us again to illustration time. Take a stroll down memory lane, back in time to your first breakup. What was it like when the relationship initially ended? You may have felt a combination of shock, hurt, betrayal, anger, insecurity, denial, the list goes on.
Now compare that situation to when you initially learned that the organization of Jehovah's Witnesses was not God's true organization. What feelings did you have?
A roller coaster of emotion, similar to what you may have felt when you experienced your first breakup. And that's exactly what it's like for many Jehovah's Witnesses, a breakup. So going back to the first breakup you ever experienced, how long did it take you to get over it? Did you ever think about going back to that person?
See, even though you may know that a breakup was the best thing for you to do, the emotional side of you often only focuses on the good things in the relationship and not why the relationship may have ended to begin with.
The same is true with many Jehovah's Witnesses. They may be fully aware that leaving the organization is the right decision, but the emotional attachment to it may only allow them to focus on who or what they miss about it. Which leads us to point number 4.
Number 4, patience is a virtue. All things take time, especially adjusting to a life change of this magnitude. Most current Jehovah's Witnesses who leave the organization will not do so right away.
You never really know what is going on inside someone's head. Last year, I witnessed this myself. Before creating our channel, someone I know had just made the decision to fade, but they did not know that I was aware of it. So when I reached out and asked how they were, they stated that they were great, in the best mood because they had a hard day but the meeting really encouraged them. 1 week later, after we had released our intro video, the same person reached out to me and informed me that they were glad that they weren't alone, that they had been having doubts for a long time, and that they fully supported our activism.
Had we not created our channel, we never would have known what was really going through that person's head.
So, just because Jehovah's Witnesses that you speak to may try to convince you that they will never leave the organization, you'd be surprised how powerful your words may be when the approach is right.
So stay patient and focus on the approach.
And number 5, perspective is everything. This point will likely be the most difficult to apply because for many it's a harsh reality. But we feel that it's absolutely necessary in order to fully be at peace with whatever happens.
Unfortunately, there's no magic wand that we can use to help all current Jehovah's Witnesses wake up to the truth about the organization. If the points we mentioned before don't work out in your favor with the current believer, don't view their current stance as the end of the world, especially if things go south with the relationship.
Resolve in your mind that whatever happens, you'll move forward with your life and make the best of it.
This may be really difficult at first because we're often taught as Jehovah's Witnesses that happiness can only come from the organization and everything that comes along with it.
Even though an ex-Jehovah's Witness may no longer practice or support the organization physically, many times it takes much longer to rid ourselves of the mentality that we were forced to adopt. At the end of the day, everyone has to come to this conclusion and realization for themselves. All we can do is provide everyone with the information that they deserve. It's up to them to make the truth their own.
We hope this video helped provide some helpful tips and suggestions on how to avoid disappointment at least as much as possible when speaking with witness friends and family. The approach is just as important as the information in this case because of how negatively apostates have been portrayed by the leaders in the organization.
In many cases, the window of opportunity is very small and fragile, so the information follows the approach, not the other way around.
On another note, as you all can see, we're wearing some brand new merchandise that we've created. The idea stemmed from Keith's Traptism video that we released a few months back, and we received a lot of requests after that to create some merchandise with the definition.
The definition of Traptism is coercion of an individual into baptism while withholding facts about the religion or group. This is something that happens very often in the organization of Jehovah's Witnesses, resulting in baptized members being disfellowshipped for leaving the group after discovering information that was kept from them before their baptism.
As Keith mentioned, and as he experienced himself, many of these individuals are young children, and the results are often very tragic once that child grows up and discovers the whole truth about the organization.
This is one of the biggest issues that we have with the organization, and we feel it absolutely needs to be addressed.
So, if you're interested in getting your own shirt or other merchandise that we've created and supporting our cause, we'll leave a link in the description box below.
And as always, thanks for watching. Till next time.